Hi everyone. Every week I have a lucky draw for my subscribers to win a practice speaking test with me, and this week the winner was Hamid. Hamid is from Iran and he's doing the IELTS test so he can do a PhD abroad. So as you're watching Hamid's practice test, I want you to either listen to his answers and try to decide what his strengths and weaknesses are. Then, when you compare your ideas with my feedback, you'll get a better understanding of how well you understand what's required from you in the IELTS speaking test. Alternatively, you can just pause the video after each question that I ask Hamid and you can practice speaking yourself so that you get more experience of what you need to do in the IELTS speaking test. Let's get started on part one. Now I'm going to ask you some questions about what you do. Do you work or are you a student?
Well, right now I'm between jobs. I handed my notice like 6 or 7 months ago, so I put all my concentration on English, and I'm looking for like a part-time job to be able to put food on the table.
And what do you enjoy best about studying English?
The thing is, when I'm reading, because this is the Achilles heel of mine. When I'm reading, I learn numerous new vocabulary, and I just put them on a application called Quizlet. And after a few while that I do this, I understand that wow, I'm just getting way better and better. So this is something that it just makes me feel better. And of course, the reading part in the IELTS is something that, beside the exam, I read thoroughly because the concepts are much beautiful. Like they are talking about genes, they are talking about nature and language, and they're fascinating.
Is there anything you don't like about studying English?
Well, starting like 6 months in a row is sometimes, I mean, occasionally it just get frustrating. I reckon if a person have a part-time job and devote like a part of his day to English, it's way better than starting full-time because it's pretty difficult.
Now I'm going to ask you some questions about sleeping.
Mm-hmm.
How many hours do you sleep every day?
Actually, lately it's just got like 6 to 7 hours per day, but it used to be like 8. Recently, I am pretty close to the third attempt of mine in the Mark IELTS exam, just like within 10 to 12 minutes. 10 to 12 days. So I just got short in sleeping, but yeah, ordinary, I sleep like full 8 hours.
Do you sleep more now than when you were younger?
No, actually, it's just vice versa. When I was younger, I was just like sleeping like 12 hours a day, but now it's way less than the past.
Do you ever sleep during the daytime?
Yeah, occasionally after I have dinner, I feel like that my eyes need to shut for a few minutes. So yeah, I sleep. I have a short nap, then I get back to work and study.
How often do you stay up late?
Not much. My preference is after like 11:30 or 12. I need to go to sleep. I don't stay up late much.
Why not?
If you do this the day after, you just will feel dizzy, and in the morning, you just don't want to get out of the bed. It just makes everything more complicated. So my preference is just sleep soon and wake up early in the morning.
Now I'm going to ask you some questions about reading.
Mm-hmm.
How often do you read books?
Beside educational and English books that I'm studying, I used to read a lot of books. I actually, one of the most famous books that I have studied is For Whom the Bell Tolls from Ernest Hemingway. But lately, I need to confess that recently I haven't read anything beside the material of IELTS.
what is the last book you bought?
It's called The Nation of Love. The writer is Turkish, and it's about two poets that they have a kind of very nice relationship. So this was the last one.
What is your favorite book?
My favorite book, the book, honestly, I don't remember the name in English, but the book is, if I just translate it, it says that when Friedrich Nietzsche cried. And it's a kind of philosophic book, and I pretty enjoyed reading it.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Now I'm going to show you the Part 2 cue card. You'll have 1 minute to make notes, and then you will speak for 2 minutes. Do you understand?
Yeah.
I'd like you to describe your most memorable holiday. Okay, Hamid, and you can start speaking now, please.
Okay. Well, honestly, I believe that I beaten by the travel bug. I've been in numerous places in my life, in particular in the different cities in my country. But the one that I'm going to talk about is the time that my girlfriend came to Iran, and we have decided to visit some cities. We went to, actually, Iran does have numerous historical places, but one of the most recognized and well known is the Persepolis. It just, I guess the history of it just back to up to 7,000 years ago. So we have decided to go there and visit that place. We bought a ticket from the agency and we fly there. And the thing is, I happen to have a friend there. So we used to be roommates, and after that he finished his education, he just went back to his hometown. So we have decided to go there and see both that historical place and visit my friend too. We went there, and it was my first time, and it was her first time too. It was one of the most memorable holidays that I have ever been to. If I had known that there's such a nice place in Shiraz, I would have gone there way earlier. But I guess there's a saying in English that says "never late to mend." So I'm going to go there much more than before. We went there, and we in the morning and in the noon we went to different historical places like Persepolis, Siosepol, Pole Khaju. These are the name of the places. And at night, my friend came looking for us. It actually came to take us to restaurants and those kind of places to enjoy.
Thank you. Do you think you'll travel again in the near future?
Absolutely. I mean, this is something that I can live without it.
Thank you. Okay, so we've been talking about a memorable holiday that you had. And now I'm going to ask you some questions related to this. Why do you think people are given holidays from work and school every year?
Well, I've heard that students ask for a gap year to just they need some space after studying too much, and I know that people when they just work like whole year, they need a they need a vacation to enjoy their life, because job put a lot of pressure on them, so they want somewhere that they can relax and take back their peace of mind. So I think this is the primary reason.
And what's the most common thing for people to do on their holidays in your country?
There are different things. For instance, they visit their friends and family. They go to travel, both domestic travels and international travel. The other things, like there are places for recreational activities like zoos or sports centers. They are different places. It depends on the people and their tastes.
Do you think that people in your country get enough time off work?
Yeah, actually, I've been talking to foreigners, and they say that, wow, you have like up to 30 days off in your country. That's impossible. I said, yeah, this is how it works in my country. Yeah, we are about the holidays. We are much more ahead of the other countries. Those poor people are working all year long.
And why do you think you have so many holidays there?
And a lot of them are related to our religion. For instance, if one of our, they call it imam, or a person who's holy, or prophet, if they born or if they died, these are called to be holiday from the government. But in other countries, they don't. I mean, their preferences just go out at night to celebrate, or to be, I don't know, like sad or something. But in Iran, they just call it a holiday, the whole day.
Um, some people feel that employers should give their staff more days off work. Do you think that's true in your country as well?
I do agree. I myself used to work in a company that even ask their workers to work on holidays. Um, I mean, I need to tell you that they are different. It really depends on the company. If the company just give the vacation that already government asked, it's okay. I guess it's enough. But if the company just asking for too much work, I think that they need to rethink about their decisions.
And why why do why do school children get more holidays than working adults?
Well, children, kids, and maybe teenagers, they have their own excuses. Just being home and then leaving home to study, to school. My preference is that children need to learn how to live in school, in particular in elementary school, rather than studying math or science. So of course they need more holidays, because the thing that they are learning in school is something that put too much pressure on them. So I think just taking some pressure from their shoulder is just something that I agree with.
Do you expect that people in your country will have more or fewer days off work in the future?
Well, as a person who living in this country, I might say that okay, if the more the better. So, but to be honest, I think it's enough in comparison with other countries. I think the holidays here in my country is enough.
Why do some people prefer to travel abroad during their holidays?
Some people are like me. For instance, I can give an instance about me that I've been in most places in my country. So my preference is the next time it's going to be abroad, or countries that are neighbors to us. I would like to visit there to get to know about their culture, their language, and the thing that it's just pretty common and conventional in their among their people. So I would like to know about them, and I know that. What are the differences? I mean, when we know about the differences, we will learn
Thank
about the
you.
beauty of it.
Thank you very much. That is the
Thank
end of
you.
the speaking test. There. Got through it. Good. Good job.
Thank you very much.
So there. So I have some advice for you. Overall, you're definitely a band 7.
Oh, thank you
So
very
I
much.
think that score will be okay for you. And you're saying that you're working on vocabulary a lot, but
Yes,
it's actually grammar that needs your attention more.
that's right. I've been told that. That's right.
You know that. Okay.
Yeah.
Fluency is 7. You can go on and develop your ideas, no problem. You don't need a lot of time to think of vocabulary, but there are some instances where you're not sure what you're going to say next,
Hmm.
and it really affects your your pronunciation. You start to have little pauses between each word. So when you're speaking, just when you know what you want to say and you're just speaking, it's very fluent, and the pronunciation, you have all the features of connected speech. But there's one I just made a note. You're saying, I used to read a lot of books, and you're thinking, but you have those little pauses between every word when you're thinking. So sometimes it's better just to take a moment to think about what you want to say first, and then start your answer. I mean, it will happen in the middle of your answer. You know, you've said what you wanted to say, and you're trying to think of what to say next, especially in part 2. But in general, the main idea should be in your head before you start speaking. That will help with that. And then when you're studying vocabulary, I get the impression that it's all pen and paper, but you're not really focusing on how the words are pronounced. So I can see it. It's in the less common vocabulary. I could be wrong. I'm just guessing, but that's the impression I get. So there are some words that you're pronouncing incorrectly, like you had truly instead of thoroughly.
Thoroughly. Okay, I'm just writing everything that you are telling to me.
Achilles heel. You pronounced Achilles incorrectly. So I'm guessing you're just finding these words somewhere, and like the way words are spelt isn't the way they're pronounced, so it's never.
That's right. I've never heard Achilles heel and thoroughly.
Yeah. So it just requires an extra bit of research. But I mean, all dictionaries have those little buttons to play the audio, so you don't even need to learn the phonemic chart anymore. The word dizzy, you pronounce with an E instead of an I.
I see.
Dizzy, not D. D.
Dizzy.
So that's pronunciation. Also, not every time, but sometimes you pronounce a V as a W. So instead of visit, you will say wi, like wizard.
Yeah.
And a word that you use quite regularly is preference, but you have the wrong stress on it. So that word is 3 syllables, preference, and you stress the first preference. You're pronouncing it with 2 syllables, and you're stressing the last one, but it's 3 syllables and you stress the first one. So preference. Having said that, you get a 7 for pronunciation. It's all clear. Fluency, you get a 7. But I think just A, keep in mind that you need to know what you want to say before you start speaking. And B, in part 2, you got to about 1 minute 40 seconds, and then you had nothing else to say. And I thought that was it. I thought you were going to be completely done. But you did think of something else, and you were able to continue. You didn't repeat your ideas. You just talked about what you and your girlfriend were doing around the town, which was perfect. But when you're making notes, you don't want to focus so much on notes on the topic card. You want to focus on what are you going to say after the topic, after you've said all of those things.
I just wrote the ideas, only the ideas that I'm about to talk, like holiday, girlfriend, Shiraz, and is it fine?
No, like but read it out. I get a good idea.
Friend that I have there, and Persepolis, Siosepol is 33, and Pol means a bridge.
Yep. So that's perfect. But what I would say is, how many of those things would you have remembered by looking at the cue card here?
With who I remembered my girlfriend, where I remembered the Shiraz and the Persepolis, and why went there.
Sorry, Hamid. I'm not explaining myself properly. You don't need to mention all of those things. That's got nothing to do with your score. As long as you talk about the main topic, that's fine. But what I meant was, you made notes about the things on the cue card.
Yes, that's right.
You're not going to forget those things, because you can look at the cue card while you're speaking.
Somehow they guide me through my speech. when I wrote them.
Okay, if it works for you, that's fine. I would just what I try and get students to do is use the cue card to remember what to say about the cue card, and use the notes to write what you're going to say when you've said everything about the cue card. Because where you went with your girlfriend, you had a friend there. I think it's unlikely you will forget that if you don't write it down.
That's right.
So that the point I'm making, not that it wasn't a bad part too. You actually did quite well. But the point I'm making is most students will run out of things to say. You seem to have run out by about 1 minute 40. So instead of making notes about what was on the cue card, make your notes about what you're going to say once you've already discussed all of those points. So it's what will you say next? But no, you did a good job.
And can I ask you that? What is your suggestion? I mean, after, for instance, I ran out of the time, like 1 minute and 30, by talking all about these matters and about these things. And what can I talk more about that be more related to this talk? And
honestly, you can basically say anything you want as long as you stay on topic, and what you said was relevant. The advice that I gave is talk about things like, would you change the holiday in any way? Or was there anything you didn't like about the holiday? Would you recommend other people to visit that place? Or will you go there again in the future? That type of stuff.
Yeah. I get you. Thank you very much. Yeah.
So it doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be those things. Those are just ideas to keep you on topic. As long as you're on topic, that's fine. And you were. But my point is more how to benefit more from the 1 minute you have to make notes, not that you did something wrong in your test. Just, I think you could help yourself a bit more with changing the notes you're taking. So that was pretty much it with fluency. That's a band 7 as well. Yeah, Hamid?
Yeah, I was just thinking about the recommendation that I just get from you, and I thought that I need to, after that I finish the places, I need to talk about, I need to think about a question, like what else that I can do there, what things that I didn't like, and if I recommend to other people. So I can just elaborate it with the other questions too.
Exactly. Or none of them. You might want to say something completely different. But the point is just use your notes for when you say everything you want to say about the cue card. That's all.
I get.
Vocab, you're doing well. You've got a nice range and mostly a good level of accuracy. You're a band 7 for vocab as well.
The grammar I received 6, right?
No, you're 7 for grammar, but it's not a strong 7. It's the area you need to work on most.
Yeah, I took the mock IELTS 2 times before, and I've heard from the 2 other examiners that the grammar is the place that I need to work more. Absolutely, and actually, I did. I'm way more better than before in grammar, but it's still room to improve.
Definitely, yeah, because that's the weakness. If you're nervous on the day and you end up making more mistakes than you did, that would be the area that could slip down to a 6. The one area. So just to go through vocab first, the one area that you need to tone down a bit is you're using you're using idioms. Mm-hmm. Preference? No, you use it a bit, but not too much. I mean, everybody has words they say too often. Like, I can't stop saying so. I say so a million times every day. But for you, it's idioms. So trying to use Achilles heel, bitten by the travel bug.
I mean, they seems to you unnatural.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I get the impression you're doing it because you think you need to do it for the IELTS test.
Exactly, because I'm in touch with the IELTS examiners, and they keep telling me that the IELTS speaking is where that you need to show off your abilities, and you need to show them that you know how to use idioms like phrasal verbs. And I asked them that, isn't it unnatural? I'm supposed to be natural in talking. because I've been talking to native speakers on different platforms and they don't use them. But they said you need to
very
show off.
old-fashioned. They're very old-fashioned. You do need to show off, essentially, but you also need to communicate at your own level. So, like phrasal verbs, absolutely. Idiomatic language isn't necessarily idioms, and the way you used Achilles heel and the way you used, there's so much about idioms. I just stop doing that.
I need to
Just stop
this
doing that.
This is the first time that I've been told that you need to stop using it.
I'm sure that's
exactly
confusing, and I'm not saying that the other IELTS experts don't know what they're talking about, but there is a point where, you know, an idiom or two might help, but in the way they're used naturally, not in the way you want to use one, so you're going to use one, you know.
I see. Yeah.
So just focus on your own level of vocabulary, and like you said, nobody uses idioms anymore. They're very old-fashioned, you know.
Right.
But it's the way that they're used. So even you said, I was bitten by the travel bug. That does mean someone who likes to travel. But we wouldn't really say, I have been bitten by the travel bug. It would be a very rare instance where that would be used. And it means someone who likes to travel, but we wouldn't use it in that context. So it would be more like, you told me that you're after visiting 10 countries in the last year. And I would go, oh, you've been bitten by the travel bug, have you? So I could use it that way, but I couldn't use it to say, I've been to 10 countries this year, I've been bitten by the travel bug. So it's more that way. But then there's the intonation and the stress and everything has to be perfect as well. Honestly, you just say, I love traveling. That'd be way better, because that's the way you talk and it sounds natural and it shows your own ability. And I mean, to improve your range of vocabulary, you need to study vocab before the IELTS test. When you're in the IELTS test, you show what you're capable of. So it's not like, here's a word that I kind of know that I saw yesterday, but I don't know how to use it. So I'm just going to use it to let you know that I've heard of the word before. That doesn't matter. It's like, can you use it properly? Can you use it accurately? So the way that you speak to me before this test and the way you're speaking to me now, that's the best way to get a high score in the IELTS test. Not pretending that you always use these idioms or, you know, forcing them into your answer. So I know that's a difficult decision for you to make. You've been told twice to use them, and now I'm telling you don't use them. But I am confident. Stick with your own ability would be better.
The thing is, I read the band descriptor, and for the lexical research band 8, it says that need to use idiomatical language, I guess. How can I just get there to have an idiomatical language without using idioms?
It's all phrasal verbs, things like slang, phrasal verbs, just the way that people naturally speak. Idioms aren't the way to go. But honestly, it's not that there are some words that you will use that will get you a higher score. It's just the range that you use throughout your entire answer. So it's not that there are certain words you need to use so much as continue to build on top of what you know. So like, let's say this is your level and the idioms are up here somewhere. So you're talking like this, and then you drop in a word that's way, way outside of the way you speak.
Yeah.
So just continue to build up and build up. There's no need to go straight for idioms. Very common mistake. I see it all the time. So it's not a unique mistake. Grammar is difficult because you're making quite a few you're not making a terrible amount of mistakes. You are a band 7 in grammar as well, but there's such a range. You're not making the same type of grammar mistakes all the time. There's quite a range. The one I noticed most was plurals.
Plural S.
Exactly. That's the one that kind of was most consistent. But then again, I mean, we're probably talking like 6, 7, 8 times throughout the 15-minute test. So that would help most. Focus on that one first.
I'm sorry, I didn't quite catch you. What do you mean that by 3 to 4 times? I didn't understand.
I was just saying how many mistakes you made with plurals during
4 or 5 times. Oh my god!
It was more than that. It's
More
probably
than
like
that.
yeah, more than that. But it's, you know, you're making a wide range of mistakes, but I would say focus on plurals. If you just focus on one thing, that will help you most, and then the other new most significant mistake will become more apparent after that.
Could you please tell me like 2 or 3 of others that I can jot it down?
That's my problem here, is that there were just rare instances. Like you had using the incorrect tense, using present simple instead of past simple, but that didn't happen often enough to make it something you should focus on. Oh, actually, again, you said we have decide instead of we decided. So using, well, that's neither. That isn't any tense.
Decided.
That's kind of half using present perfect instead of using past simple. So again, it was past simple actually. No, there's more than that.
Yeah, exactly. These are the things that I've been told, and honestly, I just I reduced them in numbers. It might be
That's
even
all.
more than that. Yeah,
That's all you need to do.
yeah. It was
That's exactly
way
what
more
you should
than exactly.
Because
I mean, okay, go on.
no, I'm just agreeing with what you're saying. It's not going to go from 20 to 0 because you studied them. It's going to go from 20 to 15 to 10. You know,
Exactly.
it's a slow progress. But that's perfect. But yeah, and then auxiliary verbs. If I was to say a third one, would be auxiliary verbs. Yeah. But that's essentially everything. So 7 in each, and overall band 7.
Could you give me like
grammar?
practice that I can make the plural s and tenses better and improve them? Because these two are my Achilles heels.
But the thing is, do you get the? That took me a second. You get them right make sure you can do them accurately in writing first.
I see. Okay.
Make sure you can do them accurately in writing first, and then kind of integrate it into your speaking. Thing is, then once you start integrating it into your speaking, you're going to have the situation where you make the mistake, you'll hear yourself making the mistake, you're going to have to go back, correct yourself, and continue speaking, but continue to correct yourself every time, because by doing that, you're forming a new habit, because a lot of it is, you know, breaking old habits and forming new habits. So just make sure that you can do it accurately in writing first. You'll have more time, and then it will affect your fluency for a while, because you're going to have to kind of consider that more carefully. Did you use it accurately? If you didn't, you're going to have to go back and correct yourself. So what you'll find, and it's the same when you're working on pronunciation as well, but like, let's say this is your fluency, this is your grammar. As you're working on improving your grammar, your fluency will come down to here because you're so focused on grammar. But then when you get your grammar to where you want to be, your fluency will come straight back to where it was beforehand. Because I've seen a lot of students get demotivated where they think like, I'm trying to improve grammar and now my fluency is all destroyed.
Yeah.
It's not. It's when you finish working on grammar, the fluency is back where it was. So, you know.
Yeah, when I talk and I just want to put all my concentration and grammar, yeah, my fluency just decrease, and so I just give up the grammar, and I want to produce it all by myself. Yeah.
But again, in the, not just for you, but for anyone in the actual speaking test, you don't want to focus on grammar. You just want to focus on communicating. So just make whatever mistakes you're going to make at that point. You know, improve before then and just communicate inside the actual test. But yeah, that's basically all the feedback I have for you. I think you're doing okay to get the score you need, but do focus on grammar, and that'll help you more than any other area.
Thank you very much, Lar.